And a deep breath out, because Hawk Talk is back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first Hawk Talk radio show of the fall semester. My name's Sam Strash. I'm your host, and we are so lucky and thankful for you to be joining us today for the first Hawk Talk show of the semester. I got myself a great crew for this first episode, and welcome, guys. It's time. We're finally here. How's everyone feeling today?
Pretty good.
Awesome. Good.
Amazing.
That's awesome. All right, guys. Quick start here. We're going to get right into it with our Warhawk Thought, which for the first week or so, while you're listening, while we're still getting warmed up, it's going to be just quick introductions, make sure everyone knows who everyone is. And today, it's going to be a real straightforward introduction. We're going to be telling you guys all where we're from, what our names are, of course, sports we've played or still currently play, teams we're on, by any chance if anyone applies to that, what sports we love to watch, because everyone has to love a sport to watch if you're on the show, and one hot take that you'll take to your grave. So I'll start right away. So like I said, I'm Sam Strash. I'm the host of the Monday show, the assistant sports director here at 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. I'm from Kenosha, Wisconsin originally. I'm a senior. And sports I've played in my life, I've played baseball and football. I've also been a bowler since I was very young, and I'm still on the university bowling team as we speak. I love watching baseball, football, basketball, and I can't turn down playoff hockey. It's just a completely different atmosphere compared to other professional sports atmospheres. Playoff hockey is something to watch. And one hot take that I'll take to my grave, and this we'll actually get into a little bit today as we progress through the show. I think Jordan Love's the next guy. I really think Jordan Love, you look at his reels, you look at his play style, I think Jordan Love is just a carbon copy of Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, and Bears fans are not going to love to hear that. Jalen, we'll go to you. Introduce yourself.
I'm Jalen Nicholson-Born. I'm from Chicago. I'm a senior as well. Big Chicago sports fan, even though it's hard to breathe sometimes right now. But one hot take I take to the grave is that I still think Justin Fields is our guy. I mean, if you look at the coaching, I mean, the plays that he's running, I don't see him running. I don't see no confidence in him in this year, so I still think he's going to be that guy, though. He's still young, so.
And we're definitely going to get into that a little more today as well in one of our later sections on whose fault really is it. Just a quick preview. We'll talk about the Bears in that segment. We'll also talk about the Broncos, who got squashed yesterday. That was impressive to watch. Mike McDaniel's Dolphins really taking it to him in Miami. Ryan, let's go to you. Introduce yourself.
I am Ryan Smith. I'm from Glenview, Illinois. I'm a freshman. I played baseball, basketball, football in my life, and I like to watch all those sports. And one hot take is in April, I predicted the Chicago Cubs would make it to the playoffs, and the season ended today. They'd be in the playoffs.
Hey, I like to see that. You know, I got as much as I am a Brewers fan, I got a soft spot for the Cubs. My dad grew up a Cubs fan because the Brewers were never on TV. And, you know, watching that 2016 World Series, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't cheering for them. And, yeah, they've had a very impressive season. Cody Bellinger really turning things around. Justin Steele coming out of nowhere, really, after getting real hot towards the end of the year last season. And he's looked like a very, very impressive pitcher and could possibly be an ace for them years to come. Let's go to Adam here.
Hey, everyone. I'm Adam. I did swim and football and track in high school, and then I do pole vaulting here at Whitewater. And I'm from UW Stout area, and one of my hot takes is that I wish the NFL would switch their overtime rules to a college base almost, and then after that have it be off of a longest field goal and do like a competition off that.
That would be really awesome to watch. I think you'd get a lot of guys like Justin Tucker, and I mean, who was it that attempted? I think someone attempted like a 68-yarder the other day or something like that.
No, it was
Tucker.
It was Missouri beat Kansas.
That was it.
State.
I have a slight connection to that Missouri team. A good buddy of mine from Elkhorn, his name's Zach. His younger brother is the long snapper for the Missouri Tigers.
Okay.
So very impressive to watch that kick happen. They call him the thicker. He's a little bit on the huskier side, and honestly, if that gives you the kick power, man, all power to you. Let's go, Nazir here.
Hi guys, I'm Nazir. I'm from Pewaukee. I used to play football, I ran track here and in high school, and I used to play basketball as a freshman. One hot take I have, and that I'm going to probably stand on until I die, is that Steph Curry is the best point guard in the NBA history. And I will never argue with the wall if you want to.
I agree with that 100%.
You're on something with that one. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely revolutionized the game.
Yep.
But can Steph Curry guard Magic Johnson at all 5 spots?
Can Magic
That I
Johnson,
don't know.
Can Magic Johnson guard Curry? I don't
Magic
think-
Johnson couldn't shoot the 3-ball like Curry. I'll just put it
Exactly.
that way.
There you go.
Keys, what do you got?
Well, my name is Keyshawn Calver. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am a junior. I dibble and dabble in a lot of sports throughout my lifetime, but my best sport was tennis. I probably could have went pro. But
Impressive.
other than that, hot take, Bron is the GOAT.
Oh,
That's
we're
that's
getting
a debate.
spicy to start. I just saw Jalen shake his head over here.
That's a debate. Right
Oh, no.
We'll talk about that
This
another
is going to be a future talk. I might have to talk to Nolan for Thursday's show because a lot of you guys are also on the Thursday show.
Yep.
We might have to spark some heat here. Ryan shaking his head over here too. You think Jordan?
Yeah.
You think
some
Jordan?
heat's coming your way, my man.
I have a buddy of mine who thinks it's Shaq because who could? I mean, there's a fair case for it.
I mean, I think LeBron would be the GOAT if, like, but I would put LeBron as the GOAT if he had won more championships. LeBron.
We can't get into that right
To
now.
me, it's not.
We can't.
It's the eye
It's gonna be
test.
a long one.
LeBron, like,
Give me
LeBron
time to
needs have a
prepare.
better finals.
Well, yeah, 10 finals appearances. He's won 4 of them. He's also won a finals with 3 different teams, 3 different play styles. I mean, the
but-
case is definitely there.
But he's never won 3 championships in a row, unlike Michael Jordan.
Twice.
Twice, 2 times.
Twice.
He
Retired and came back and won 3
he
more.
ran it 3 times in a row. Said, "Screw it, I'm out." Went and
Yeah.
played baseball for a little bit. Said, "I'm back," and won 3 more.
All I gotta say is, man, he lost to one person on a super, and he was on a super team. Dirk Nowitzki destroyed LeBron, and that'll forever.
Not 1,
that'll-
not 2. You're right. It wasn't 1 right away. It was the Mavs.
That would be my forever argument. That just holds LeBron back forever, in my opinion. Left the Cavs, went to the Heat right away, lost right away.
Took his talents to South Beach and then couldn't do anything with it right away. But that's just our quick introductions here. You're going to hear a lot more from us as we continue here on the first episode of Hawk Talk. Let's get into our first topic today. It's all love, bro. The Green Bay Packers scored 18 unanswered points in the fourth quarter of yesterday's matchup with the New Orleans Saints at Lambeau Field to win the game 18-17 on a missed kick. 46-yard field goal swung left. Let's talk about what went right for the Packers in yesterday's game. Adam, we'll start with you. What was going right for them, especially fourth quarter? Let's think about at least fourth quarter first here. What was going right for them there?
Well, I just have to say what went right for him to start was having Derek Carr get injured. I mean, if that didn't happen, I don't think they had a shot at winning, honestly. But I for sure think that we were able to pull something out of the hat there. And with the fourth quarter, that hurry-up offense really helped. And with what the head coach was doing to help Love, I think was just a great way that we were able to get a lot of those points.
You look at the QB stats before Derek Carr goes out, 13 of 18, only 103 yards, did have the touchdown pass to Jimmy Graham, got sacked 3 times, which is something to point out because the Packers defense has not been highly touted in a very long time. And in the past couple of years, even with poor defensive coordinating from Mike Pettin, and then now you come to Joe Barry, and a lot of people are still calling for Joe Barry's head, even after silencing the Bears week 1, keeping it close with the Falcons, but you blew it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And then here now, you look at through the first few quarters, I mean, New Orleans was up 17-0 at half and didn't score the rest of the game. Derek Carr gets sacked 3 times. Jameis Winston got sacked once. His longest pass was 28 yards.
I just think it was a huge turning point. If it didn't happen, I don't think there was a lot of hope left for him. But I agree. And Rashawn Gary went off on the quarterback too, and just had a heck of a day. So
3 sacks from Rashawn Gary, 1 from Kenny Clark. Let's get some other thoughts in here. What was going wrong for them the first 3 quarters?
Well, I would say that Jordan Love was just not finding the right targets at first, and they were dropping a lot of passes, in my opinion. I saw a lot of drop passes from, I think, the Reed guy, I believe. Is
Jaron Reed, yep.
Jaron Reed. I'm not a big Packers fan anymore, so
Or Jaden Reed, sorry. Jaron Reed's the
hard
former
to-
D lineman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he dropped like 3 passes, I believe, in like the second and then 1 in the fourth. They just weren't hitting on all their cylinders right away. And, you know, having 18 points through 4 quarters for the Packers is kind of a shocker in my opinion, because Matt LaFleur always airs it out and makes sure that they score at least over 25.
Well, that was the most amount of points that they've ever scored, like in
Fourth
Packer-
quarter?
Yeah.
The largest fourth quarter
With Favre and
comeback
Rodgers.
in Green Bay Packers history, and it was
That's
led by
pretty cool.
Jordan
Yeah,
Love,
I-
the guy who everyone wanted gone the minute he got taken. You know, I remember calling into the Bill Michaels show. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He used to be an on-air guy in Milwaukee. And I remember calling into that show. It was him and Gary Ellerson. And I was saying, hey, no pun intended, but I love this pick. And they were just giving me crap, saying, no, this guy is not going to be it. Why are you doing this? Rodgers still has all his contract to play out. And then I go, no, he's not going to finish it in Green Bay. You got to find the guy who's going to take over for him. You can't go the 1 year of Andy Dalton followed by 1 year of Jimmy Garoppolo and then find your franchise guy. Franchise guys don't come around, all too often.
Right.
You don't really find a Justin Herbert all very often, a Tua very often. Look at guys at picks 1 and 2 this year. Bryce Young, we'll talk about a little bit later. Him and C.J. Stroud, they're struggling to start the year. Jordan Love sat behind arguably the greatest thrower of the football of all time. I'm not going to say greatest quarterback, but greatest thrower of the football of all time. And look what it's turning into. He's blossoming into something. 44 attempts yesterday. LaFleur did air it out a lot. Got 259 yards and a touchdown. Did throw a pick early, but also had a rushing touchdown too. I feel like this is something that the Packers really haven't had in a long time. If anyone wants to touch on that.
If Jordan Love was there, I'm pretty sure their leading rusher yesterday. Without Aaron Jones, their rushing game's a little scarce right now. But once Aaron Jones comes back, I think they'll, and Bakhtiari as well.
There's so many injuries with Elton Jenkins and
It was pretty impressive.
Christian Watson, Alexander.
They were without left tackle 1, left guard 1, running back 1, wide receiver 1, and cornerback 1, and still had the greatest fourth quarter comeback in franchise history.
It's impressive.
Against the top 5 statistic defense at the moment, at least the Saints were top 5 yesterday, I believe, at one point. I'm not sure what it looks like now, but I was doing a little research during the game, and they're top 5, so they're no joke when it comes to defense.
They do have one of the best passing attacks on defense in the league.
Yeah.
Their front 7 is very, very touted.
Yeah.
Ryan, let's go to you. What are your thoughts on this game, especially? What went wrong for the Saints late?
I agree. If Derek Carr didn't get injured, I think the Saints would have won that game. But to be honest, I am not a Packers fan, but I didn't think Jordan Love was going to be any good this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, to be honest, the first 3 games he turned himself around and he's doing pretty good.
You know what I did notice? This was his first ever start in Lambeau Field, and what doesn't help is there's going to be some jitters that come along with it. There's a lot of Packers fans that want you to do good, because if you don't do good, they're going to want your head, and that's a lot of pressure on a young quarterback.
A lot of expectation you got to live up to.
When he was drafted, I'm friends with a lot of Packers fans, and none of them liked him. I liked him, and I'm not even a Packers fan. And when he was behind Aaron Rodgers, I didn't see the issue. I thought it would be a great fit for him, playing behind second best quarterback all time.
Well, it definitely helps when your pro player comp out of college is Patrick Mahomes.
That's true.
And you look at that, and they traded up to get a quarterback in that 2020 draft. When you had you could have traded up in front of the Vikings, who teams in front of the Vikings were willing to trade down with the Packers. And Justin Jefferson's right there. Jamar Chase is in that draft somewhere. Think about that. T. Higgins went 33rd. There's a lot of guys in that draft, and they chose to go with the franchise guy, the quarterback.
You take JJ in that time, I don't think Aaron Rodgers loses.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it probably would have won it all.
Exactly, and it's funny because you date back to right after that 2015, I think it was divisional. It was either 15 or 16, that divisional round game against the Cowboys. You're in Dallas. That Jared
Yeah.
Cook toe tap catch
Yeah,
right
that
on
was
the edge.
sick.
Crosby with the game winner, like 50 yards out. They lose. They get blown out by the Falcons that next round, and then Rodgers goes to the front office. He asked for three things: re-sign Jared Cook, bring in another wide receiver, and keep the defense alive.
They went 0-3.
They did none of that. They did
Yeah.
none of that because, I mean, you had trust in your quarterback that, I mean, Aaron Rodgers had the talent to make everyone great. I mean, he still does. Even,
Yeah.
like, you know, he's out now, but he'll more than likely come back. I mean, we can meander onto that if we want to as well. Keys, you look like you're itching to say something over there. What are your thoughts on this Packers-Saints game?
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, so first and foremost, the Derek Carr situation, y'all kind of sound like Bears fans because injuries is a part of the game. Like Chubb went down and they back up 4. It's not, they don't even have Kareem Hunt. They got the job done. So we won that game. Jordan Love had a rocky start, I'm not gonna lie, and the running game wasn't clicking, and he wasn't reading the defense right. Like that one pick that he threw, it looked like a punt return because he didn't read the safety over the top, and it was, you know, I was like, whoa, what you doing, Jordan? Like, come on now. But in the game we gave up 17 points. Actually, no, they gave up 10 because of the punt return. So you couldn't blame the game on the defense. It was more the offense, and I feel like where I'm at. I feel like he turned it around, but I feel like we should have ran it more regardless. Like you said, he threw it 40 times. That's not our play style. We should be a running defensive team now since we lost Rodgers. And I'm not doubting his talent, but I went over the hype over Jordan Love during the preseason. People was like, oh my God, this the year. I'm like, I got to see him do it. And he gave some sparks of Rodgers, but I'm still not all the way sold on him. Like,
What will it take for you to be sold on him?
because he's still making, like I said with the pick and stuff, he's still making them simple issues.
There's only one pick. He's only thrown one pick this year, I'm pretty sure.
That's true.
He's thrown for like
But it's times where, you know, he need to dunk the ball more often.
That he's like jittery sometimes too. Like
That's
he's
every
looking for
quarterback.
something to be right there.
The
Yeah.
Falcons game we should have won. Like he kind of panicked because I know we lost by only one, but that was a game that we should have.
he only had 30 seconds left, but I see what you mean, yeah.
No, yeah, that last drive.
Yeah.
I hear you, but I feel like we should have got a field goal off that.
I agree. I completely
I feel
agree.
like
that was a coaching issue
He
too,
was,
though.
he was, you know, he was nervous, and
Yeah.
it's like, you good, like you're valid, like you got a good talent. You just gotta be poised in the pocket, and he showed that, especially during the Bears. And I know it's the Bears, like they're sorry to hear that for y'all too, but yeah. So, but I'm trusting in Love. I'm watching, and I feel like we can definitely surprise some people.
Make some noise, yeah.
Yes, sir.
I want to go back to what you were saying about A.J. Dillon and running the ball a little more. I mean, it certainly doesn't help that Aaron Jones is out. He might be out again this Thursday against Detroit, which would really hurt us because you look at this Detroit team, they're something special too.
They're
really good.
Dan
Yeah.
Campbell's cooking up something real nice in Detroit, and it's not hot dogs on white bread. It's a
Yeah.
lot more like a 5-star Michelin dinner, right? But A.J. Dillon, you know, it certainly doesn't help with Aaron Jones being out. You don't have that 2 running back attack right now. The rest of your guys in the running back room are off the practice squad right now. You're running off of those 2. And A.J. Dillon right now is on pace to have the worst season of his career already. He's only got 2.7 yards per attempt. Yards per game is only at 35.5 right now. His success rate right now, which success rate for those who don't know, is gaining at least 40% of yards required on a first down. So getting at least 4 on first and 10, 60% of yards required on second, and 100% on third or fourth, which he's only at 43% right now, which is not what you want out of the backfield right now. You take a look at Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones much higher up on that list. We'll pop up his page right now. Aaron Jones, in terms of success rate, is at 78% this year. He's on pace to have a career season. Granted, it's off one game. It's not the greatest sample size, and it was only on 9 carries. But Aaron Jones has never been truly utilized as a true running back in Matt LaFleur's system. He's always been a dual threat as a receiving and rushing option, and then also as a lead block for A.J. Dillon, too, who, you look at A.J. Dillon's frame, he really don't need a lead block.
Right.
He really doesn't need a lead block.
Yeah.
That man's 6 foot, 240, and it's all muscle. But Aaron Jones has been used in a very versatile role, and he's already having a career season just off of one game. Now, we'll have to see what happens when he comes back, if he comes back against Detroit. But I'm excited to see what Aaron Jones can do, and I'm almost ready to jump ship on A.J. Dillon.
Just talk about the fact that the Saints moved on from Will Lutz, and when they needed a kicker, he misses a 46-yarder to win the game.
To win the game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they should have made that. It was a bad day for the Saints yesterday. I would say they lost their Derek Carr, who they signed in the offseason from the Raiders, because he hates Vegas all of a sudden, and then his shoulder just got messed up during the game, and hopefully he'll be all right to kind of. Because my hot take before the season was that they'd make the playoffs and win that division in the NFC South.
They're supposed to.
They should. I mean, otherwise it's the Falcons, because the Cardinals aren't doing anything, and
They're the best team on paper in that division.
But he's a bum.
the Buccaneers are good too, though.
They do look good. Baker Mayfield is really starting to show off a little bit here in this first couple of weeks of what the Browns are missing out by moving him and getting Deshaun Watson instead. Deshaun Watson does not look comfortable in that pocket.
Hey.
And Cleveland historically has a great offensive line, much like the Packers have had for the last 20, 30 years, much like the Colts have had in the last 10. I mean, with Joe Thomas anchoring that line for so long, and now they're just trying to keep that going, because a great offensive line can make any quarterback good. And they have a good offensive line. Deshaun Watson does not look comfortable in that pocket. But let's move on here. We'll still stick with the Packers. Let's take a peek at the rest of their schedule, the rest of the way out, at least these first few weeks. They have Detroit at home on Thursday, coming off short rest, only 4 days rest. Detroit coming off, let's find out. Detroit, just this past week, hosted Atlanta and beat the Falcons, which is something the Packers couldn't do. Then after Detroit, the Packers go to Vegas. They have a bye week, and then it's in Denver, home against Minnesota. At least these first 5 weeks, what are we expecting from the Packers?
All three.
With the
Win all three.
Lions, Raiders, Broncos?
Yes.
I think they should win all 3 of those. I mean, I'm a Chargers fan, so I'm always going to root against the Raiders and Broncos no matter what it is. But the Lions are going to be a tough one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that would be the hardest one.
Dan Campbell being a former NFL player, he's obviously got a chip on the shoulder from last year. Didn't make the playoffs, so he knocked the Packers out of the playoffs. But this year he's going for it all. He's going to win a division. I'm sure he's going to go for a bunch of playoff wins, maybe even the Super Bowl. I'm not going to go that far because it's Detroit. So, but I think the Packers could stick it out on Thursday and get that win. They should beat the Raiders, even though Devontae might put up 200 yards on them.
I don't mean that.
And then Broncos, we know the Broncos
Josh
story.
Jacobs.
Yeah, the Broncos.
That's true. Josh Jacobs
Green
is
Bay
good.
will go 1-2. I think those.
I like that too. I like that too.
Detroit didn't knock Detroit last season did knock Green Bay out of the playoffs.
It's always a great game to watch Detroit and Green Bay in Green Bay.
Yeah.
It never
Yeah.
ceases to amaze me when those two teams meet in Green Bay. It's always a real great game. You think a few years back, the Packers had clinched the 1 seed. They put in Matt Flynn, right? And Matt Flynn has arguably the greatest game by a Green Bay quarterback of all time. And then Matthew Stafford matches him. They go toe-to-toe, and it's a high-scoring game all the way till the very end. Then, like last year, it was a real thriller up until the very end when the Lions picked off Rodgers, which is something you really don't say very often, that anyone picks off Rodgers. Knock us out of the playoffs. They keep Seattle in. Detroit missed the playoffs last year as well, though they could have made themselves a run too. They were a sneaky team. I like that 1-2. Who else did you have them losing to?
Las Vegas.
Vegas. I think they're going to go 1-2, but I think they'll beat the Raiders and lose to the Broncos. And here's why.
I don't think they're beating the
Russell Wilson, you look at the numbers from yesterday's game with the Dolphins. Yes, they got blown out. And we're going to talk about the Broncos in a little bit. Russell Wilson went toe-to-toe with Tua. Tua really didn't have to throw the ball much. He had a few of those shovel passes in there that got him some numbers. I mean, he was kind of a yards after catch merchant yesterday, right? And Russell Wilson had himself a decent game. It wasn't really his fault yesterday, and we'll talk about more whose fault really is it with the Broncos' struggles earlier on. I mean, the defense was rough yesterday for them, too.
Yeah.
I think Sean Payton is too good of a coach for this Broncos team to start out 0-3 and have one of the worst point differentials in all of football with 122 points scored against them. That's last in the league. That's 40 points a game right now. Now, obviously, that probably, I should say, will not pace the rest of the year. But I think the Broncos offense has some great weapons. They have a pretty good offensive line manned by Garrett Bowles and Whitewater alum Quinn Miners, who's allowed the least pressures by any guard in the National Football League to start the year. That one's going to be tough, and it's in Denver. High altitude. Who knows how they like to, who knows how the Packers are going to perform at a very high altitude in Denver. They're used to that there. I think 1-2 for sure, but we should beat the Vikings and the Rams at home. I'm not a very big fan of the Vikings, both personally as a fan and on paper. The Vikings, you look at their team, like last year they had a lot of one-score games and they were 11-0 in those, and this year they're like 0-2.
They're opposite.
Oh, 3 this year.
0-3 now,
Yeah.
yes.
It's just Jefferson.
So I think we'll go
lost him.
1-2 over the next 3, but 3-2 over the next 5. Anyone else here? Next 5 games.
I'm a Broncos fan and a Bears fan, obviously, but I don't see it happening with that Broncos game. I think they might lose to the Vikings more than the Broncos.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because even though they don't have Dalvin Cook anymore, they still have a good run game, and they have Jettas.
And Alexander Madison finally woke up yesterday and realized he was playing in the National Football League. Took him long enough. Fantasy owners like myself were realizing that this guy had some issues. But, Alexander Madison finally figured it out. And the Vikings defense is much more stout than the Broncos defense. But now let's talk about full season picture. Where do we see the Packers going, Adam?
With the overall record?
Overall finish, just anything. Record, finish. Do they make the playoffs? Do they, heaven forbid for Bears fans, make the Super Bowl?
Yeah, right. I think there's a possibility that we for sure can get to the playoffs. If so, I'm going to go with the wild card spot. I think the Lions will probably squeak out our division. And with that, with Jordan Love's first year, I just don't think he'll be really experienced enough, to actually have a really good run in the playoffs. I know Rodgers and Favre ended, I think, their first season at the 9-8 or so.
Like 9-7, 8-8.
Yeah. So they were kind of split down the middle. So it's possible since they opened up another spot in the wild card round, but. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. You guys are talking about with the Broncos game. I'm curious to see how they'll bounce back with the Bears there and see if they actually do make any adjustments. Because if they are able to find themselves within the next 2 weeks, then I know on paper too. Yeah, the Broncos should be there. I mean, they got Russ. They the coaching's supposed to be a lot better and everything in between. But yeah, so I'm
Aaron Rodgers'
with that.
first season at the helm was 2008 with Mike McCarthy as the head coach. Still is in his third year as head coach. They went 6-10.
Did he really?
They did go 6-10. Next year, lost in the wild card. They were 11-5. 2 years after, won the Super Bowl. They won it all.
So here's my thing though. You guys gotta really look at their schedule because they're 2-1 right now. They play the Lions, and Lions are good, but like I said earlier, they're Detroit, so anything could happen. So they play the Lions, and they play the Raiders, Broncos. Vikings is okay, kind of a rocky one. The Rams are pretty good this year. They might get Cooper Kupp back by then. Puka's going off.
Which is surprising
Right.
that the Rams are actually doing this good.
Right.
And I would have thought that Matthew Stafford long-term injury last year, I thought he was just been done.
Yeah.
I mean, you got what you wanted. You won your Super Bowl. Yeah, it was a fight.
Yeah.
It wasn't just an easy way out.
He
kinda
earned that, though. I'm
not saying
happy you got
I'm not
Super Bowl.
saying Tom Brady built that team, but Tom Brady goes to Tampa and all these stars show up and you win a Super Bowl, nearly make it to 2, and it's not like Stafford did the same thing. He was just the final piece to the puzzle. They'd already built together the system, and Matthew Stafford shows up. They win a Super Bowl. Then I would have thought he would have been done last year. But yeah, it's insane to watch how Matthew Stafford's been able to turn those receivers into stars.
Yeah.
Right away. Get Cooper Kupp back. That's going to be great for them. I'm pretty sure he'll be back for that game.
I believe so. The Packers get a little rough in the middle of the season, I would say. Vikings, Rams,
Yeah.
Steelers,
I don't know about the
Chargers.
Steelers. I ain't too high on the Steelers.
I'm not
TJ
either.
Watt. TJ Watt.
TJ Watt's
He's
one
one
of
man,
11
though.
guys on that
Minka-
defense.
Minka
man.
Fitzpatrick.
We better get our offensive line
Holcomb?
back. Yeah.
I mean, but even if you do throw Minka Fitzpatrick on
I don't
Jets,
believe
you
in
still
Keenan.
got Jordan Addison out there. You still got
I think if Jordan Love, if he doesn't have the time, he'll end up like a Justin Fields. Like if he doesn't have a pocket, his throws are going to be just
and all
terrible.
Kirk Cousins does is just throw the ball down the field. So.
But Mike Tomlin,
I mean-
I don't think he's ever had below 500 seasons. So that might be a game they sneak, through Lambeau. I
That
mean,
they might need to sneak.
yeah, they might have to
Yeah.
do that, and then they
Keep
play
that
the
streak
Chargers.
alive.
Then they play the Chargers, which I'm gonna be at, and then the Lions, and then the Chiefs, which is
that's gonna be tough.
You know that one, but then,
Oh, yeah.
Then it gets easier: Giants, Buccaneers, Panthers, Vikings again, and then Bears. I think they pull out the 7 seed. I mean, that's just my prediction. I'm not a Packers fan, but being a realist on this, they seem like they're in good hands right now.
So to wrap up this segment, we'll go around the room, give me a record, and if they make the playoffs, give me a seed and where they finish. So we'll start with Keys.
I'll say. I'm gonna say 9-8.
Yeah, I was gonna say 9-8 as well.
9-8.
9
I
and
don't
8.
think they're getting 10.
Make it or miss it though. They make the playoffs, 7 seed. They sneak in.
I think I make their playoffs because the NFC is weaker.
It is very
lot
much
weaker.
weaker.
Very weird.
So-
It's top heavy with only 3 teams.
Yeah. I would go with the 9 and 8-ish, right about there at just like the 500 mark. It's possible they go into the playoffs. I hope they do, but it didn't happen to Rodgers his first year. It might take some time, but we'll see. We'll see.
Jalen, what you got?
I'd give them 10 wins. I think they'll be able to squeak out one against. I think they'll be able to split both of those with the Lions or the Vikings. I think they'll be able to split one, take one each.
Sweep the Bears.
Yeah, most likely.
That'd be a successful season right there.
But for some reason, the Bears play well at Lambeau for the past few years. So.
They have.
They played terrible in
They
Chicago.
play terrible at Chicago, though.
Yeah,
I
pretty
just don't
much.
understand
I also
that.
have
No sense.
Green Bay going 9 and 8.
9 and 8. Make the playoffs or miss?
Miss.
Miss the playoffs. Okay, there's our first
that-
miss. Do you have a making?
I'm.
Yeah, I got them going.
Actually,
Actually, the NFC is pretty weak.
Well,
and-
I mean, I think if Green Bay gets in, it'll probably be probably like a 7 seed.
7 seed. That's fair.
I can agree.
That's fair and all. I think that's
Yeah,
probably that's a lot of people right at the beginning of the year probably saw 8 and 9, 9 and 8,
Yeah.
miss the playoffs or barely sneak in as a 7, get bounced by the 49ers or Eagles in the first round. You got to think about it this way: Dallas is going to be the 5 seed. I mean, that's even with the loss to the Cardinals, Dallas is going to be the 5 seed.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Eagles and Niners up at 1 and 2.
Yeah, 1 and
Probably
2.
the Lions at 3, and I'm going to say probably because I don't think they're going to be the number 3. Little preview there, but Saints at 4 or Buccaneers at
What
4.
about Seattle?
You got
I was gonna say Seattle's good, man.
I
Not good, but they're playoff.
Seattle is just
I
one of
don't
the
know if
sleeper
Seattle makes the
teams.
playoffs. If I'm going to be honest with you,
The Rams might make it.
I'd see more than Seattle.
Okay.
I think I'd see that
That's
more.
fair.
I think I just looked through the schedule here a little bit. So I have them at 5 and 3 after the next 5 games.
Okay.
Call me crazy, but I think they go 11 and 6.
I
What?
give them 10.
I think they go 11 and 6.
Can you-
But I think that's their ceiling, though.
Give me a.
I don't see them getting any better than that.
No,
That's
like-
like the absolute most.
No, I think
Give me a rundown of
Green
who's
Bay
gonna win
goes
and
9
lose.
9 and 8 or 10 and 7.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
10
So
and
I'm sitting
7's
around 10 and 7.
10 and 7 is
That's
what I
I'm
had them
sitting.
at first of this year, because I feel like a lot of people were sleeping on the offensive efficiency that Matt LaFleur has had with this team outside of last year. We all know last year was kind of a down year, but
Yeah.
every coach is going to have their worst year of their career, right? Just as every player has their worst day or worst year. But after going 5 and 3 through the Rams game,
Okay.
I have them beating the Steelers. They beat the Chargers at home.
Oh no.
Lose to the Lions, lose to the Chiefs, lose to the Giants, win out.
See, here's my thing. I think they're losing to the Chargers.
Chargers is tough.
So then they'd be 10 and 7.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 10 and
See, that's
seven.
what I mean. That's like one of those toss-up games.
Yeah.
And there's a few of those on the way.
You always got to
Defense
put in the
is bad.
fact that you'll lose a game that you would think they'll win, and they'll win a game that you thought they would lose. That's how I
Exactly.
will always put it.
That's why
my
the
day.
Giants beat them.
I think the Steelers beat them, though. I think the Steelers beat them, and then they lose the Chargers. They beat the Lions. I think they're going to sweep the Lions.
I don't
personally.
believe in
I don't
Kenny.
believe it.
I don't know.
I think they're sweeping the
No.
Lions.
I think we can beat the Giants, but lose to the Bucks.
Kenny
I don't know.
can't score on that. I mean, score on that defense. On this.
Well,
don't
the
think you're beating
offensive
the
line has him running around like a chicken with his head cut off in the backfield. It certainly doesn't help his case. But I agree with you there, too. I don't know how strong the Steelers truly are this year.
Their defense is something real,
got
man.
them.
You can't trust a quarterback with 2 gloves. That's
Yeah.
the only thing.
No.
That's the only thing.
Hey, he's got small hands. He has to get the ball in his hand somehow.
Yes.
You got to think about it that way. True. We're going to move right along. We're going to stick with the NFL here. We're going to play Whose Fault Is It Anyway? So we're going to look at some of the struggling teams in the league and determine who's at fault for their early season struggles. Let's get the elephant out of the room.
Yeah.
Is it Justin Fields, Matt Eberflus, or Ryan Pace? Keys, we'll start with you. Who is at fault for this Bears team stinking it up this early?
I feel like it's everything because they O-line is just so bad. But then again, Justin got to elevate his passing game, and you bring DJ Moore, and he supposed to be our number 1, but nothing's changed. It's like I almost feel bad as a Packer fan for them, and they
Well, I
are
agree with
screaming.
you saying that
And
you got to get the ball out, but
they need to get a
5
whole
seconds to
new office or something.
I don't know, man. Justin Fields couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. I mean, what makes you think he can hit a wide open wide receiver?
He
at this
missed.
point?
Yeah,
That's
he missed the
exactly.
one wide receiver in
There was 3 receivers open in the Buccaneers
Just
game,
open in the-
and he
yeah.
ran. He ran up
he got sacked. Yeah,
he was great last year as a runner.
As a runner, exactly.
Ninth in MVP voting last year.
He couldn't throw the
Wow.
ball. If he threw the ball
That's why
more,
he got elevated. That's what I'm saying. He got to elevate his games too. So
I
you
think
can't
it's
just
all
point the
Justin.
finger.
I think it's all Justin Fields.
All Justin?
Because he's
don't
young.
I
I don't
can't.
know.
No,
Well, you
it's
look
not
at-
Justin Fields.
You
It's
look
not
at
the
this
play
year's
calling,
running
yeah.
It's not the
stats,
play call.
especially like his
How
running
many
stats.
dink and dunk passes have they done?
How many?
He's a
how many-
Three
how many-
screens in a row.
down the field.
Three
How
screens in a
many,
row.
Like, come on, man.
how many open receivers can you see open downfield after you look at the replay?
Okay,
Every
but if
single
you,
time.
okay, even if you don't throw the ball down the field, he's still elusive enough to get out the pocket and run for over 100 yards a game.
He should be
all his
doing
game.
what Lamar
that's
Jackson
Three
That only
games,
goes
he's only
to
at
take-
109.
it works for
guys.
Lamar.
Guys, he's not Lamar Jackson.
Okay, then what did he do last year?
And the
bro?
Ravens
Come on.
look
He ran.
amazing
He didn't
right now.
throw. He ran.
And still was
That's
with
what
Michael
they're called
Vick.
Lamar.
Yeah,
Like-
because he was running. He
You
passed.
signed up for the position. You
He
got
passed-
to
he
throw it a
passed-
little
yeah, exactly.
bit.
You signed up for the position. You,
Yeah,
you
a
got
little
drafted
bit.
But
as
when
a
you have
quarterback.
less than 3 seconds to throw the ball and you always looking over your shoulder because
You
you're
gotta
about
run.
to practically
This-
get
you
hit,
gotta
you
run.
have
Yeah,
to
Lane
run.
Johnson-
the
throwing it
entire,
like-
okay, he runs, but he runs into the lineman.
True.
What about that?
So let's kick it to Jalen here. Jalen, you're thinking it's not Fields' fault. So who's at
I
fault?
can't put it all on Fields. I got to put it all on play calling. How
I
many
do too.
times? Like
I do
literally,
too.
you gonna
Yeah.
call a screen on a 1 yard line?
3 times.
Three
times in a
like,
row.
Like that you can't
That's
wild.
wild.
Explain that.
At
Man.
that
In
point-
a
at
goal
that point,
line
give it to
setup,
Herbert.
nonetheless.
Literally a goal
Yeah.
line setup. You're gonna do
Yeah.
a screen pass.
That's like
to
one
a running
scenario.
back. Come on now.
That's one scenario.
But that just shows how bad the coaching is. Like,
Yeah.
But that's how bad it is.
I think it's Matt's
Like,
fault.
I understand it's bad, but like Justin Fields, if you're saying Justin Fields is as good as he is, he should be able
I'm
to
not-
make something out of that. You know what I'm
We
saying?
have to go with the fact that everyone has been putting unrealistic expectations, saying, "Oh, he's about to be an MVP." When I didn't think he was going to be an MVP.
And not
I
only
didn't think
that,
that.
this
I
the
didn't think
unrealistic
that.
expectations that the Bears were going to go like 13-4 this year and win the
that's
Super
was
Bowl.
crazy.
I've never
You
heard
got
that.
DJ Moore, big
Win
whoop.
5 games.
Okay, DJ Moore is like
You sound
above,
like the
a little bit
Cowboys.
above average.
Yeah, he's
in my
not.
opinion.
He's not a super one.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He's not
He's
like
not
AJ
like
Brown to,
It was
to
still
Eagles.
It was still nuts for them to get him in that trade for the first overall pick.
I agree. Yeah,
But
that's
at the
kinda
same
crazy.
time, like he's
thought
not
Claypool was
Randy
gonna be the
Moss.
answer.
no, he's
No,
it's
Claypool
nothing.
is not the answer. When he catches the ball, he fades back instead of just going up to the ball.
He's really
Come
good.
on now.
He's
Clay-
really, he's
I will
6'4"
say-
for a
Claypool
reason.
upsets me.
He
He's
should
6'4"
be
for a
able to
reason.
make it happen with those wide receivers. Because if you see what Love can do with all these first years,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's good enough. I mean, but he
It
needs
is.
time. I think it's Matt's fault personally.
is.
He's a defensive-minded coach.
yeah.
If you go through his the 4 years with the Colts, it's not great. It's not bad, but just as a whole defensive play caller, it's just not in the right
Look at
mindset.
what they did
On
with
the bright
Nathaniel
side.
Hackett last year with the
Okay.
Broncos. We have to
Okay, Hackett,
really
yeah.
look at offensive pedigree.
Like, okay, at least on the bright side, you guys won't be paying him like a top 10 quarterback like they did Daniel Jones.
Probably not.
Yeah, where he gets paid and forgets how to pick up a football.
Yeah, you'll
probably not.
have cap space to get like maybe a superstar if they want to live in Chicago, but that's for the near
And some
future,
big
I
boys.
guess.
Yeah, I get some big
You need linemen.
Instead
You
of
do need
starting
linemen.
over,
That's true.
so.
Let's kick it to Ryan real quick to close off this Bears part of the segment.
It's the offensive line.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
It's, I don't know. I
Bro,
think
dude.
the offensive line, like they don't do anything like to protect Fields.
See,
Bro,
I,
did
I
it.
No,
don't
because like
agree with that.
Bro, did
it's
it.
either like because when
Bro got
Fields
in the
is like
ring.
trying to
Got to the
like throw the ball like to
championship.
DJ Moore, Chase Claypool, or like or anyone, like he has to like scramble and like run the ball. Like I feel like the O-line that like doesn't do anything.
See, I kind of agree with you, not in the sense of it's the O-line, but in the sense that it's Ryan Pace. That it's Ryan Pace who's at fault. I mean, the biggest names on your roster, like you got to think T.J. Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, Jaquan Brisker, Jack Sanborn. I mean, those are your top guys on defense. Eddie Jackson hasn't really been Eddie Jackson since before COVID.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
T.J. Edwards leads the team in tackles right now.
Ryan Pace or Ryan Poles?
Ryan Poles.
That's it.
Yeah, not Ryan
I was
Pace.
like,
Sorry,
yeah.
Ryan Poles, different Ryan.
You good.
But yeah, I think it's Ryan Poles' fault. There's no team built around Justin Fields. Justin Fields is the type of quarterback that's supposed to be, the final piece of the puzzle, like Matthew Stafford was with the Rams, or how Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be with the Jets this year. You look at other guys around the league. I mean, Dak Prescott, after
Yeah.
he took over for Tony Romo, he was the final piece.
I think they
right?
jumped the gun on trying to figure out their final piece. And
Literally.
you could put Mahomes in there. I
And
don't
they'd
think
still go
it'd-
6-10.
Yeah, I don't think it'd make much of a difference. Yeah.
And you look
I think
at
it's his play style. Like, because he runs, he needs to O-line and he need blocking.
They just don't have that.
It's the play style.
He
They
needs
just
to be
don't have
smart.
it.
He needs to be smart at what he does with the ball, though, in my opinion. Like
True.
he doesn't see the wide open receiver ever. There's just,
I think it starts the play calling though
You
too,
can't coach
because like with
that.
Matt, he sets up Love for like these like amazing like I feel like all the plays are smaller and shorter at the moment, so he can get the ball out faster, quicker, easier. I don't know.
but the plays that are good though,
Yeah.
Justin Fields doesn't execute at all.
Yeah.
Like they should have been scoring on the Buccaneers a lot. Obviously, they weren't going to win last week against the Chiefs, but
Right.
against the Buccaneers, that was like the game that I was like, okay, he might suck. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's
If
move
Chiefs
on.
would have kept everybody in, it would have.
Let's go with the fact that Roshan Johnson and Khalil Herbert have more targets than Cole Kmet. I mean, that's telling you that's all he's doing is screens.
I mean, that's also saying that he's just throwing little flat routes to the running back too.
Exactly. No time.
Someone's got to call it.
Ryan, you're itching here. What you got?
I could start with like the second.
Oh, with the Broncos, yes. We'll move on real quick. We're running through a lot of time here, guys. I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed this. This is the beauty of talking about sports, is you can just sit around with a bunch of dudes and just hang out, and someone name drops Danny Amendola, and you just go for 2 hours about that. Let's go with the Broncos here. Whose fault is it, Ryan? Is it Russell Wilson, the Broncos D, or is it Sean Payton?
It's automatically the Broncos D, because yesterday that was in Miami. That was an absolute embarrassment.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you have 70 points. I mean, I get Miami's a good offensive team, but that was just hard to watch and embarrassing.
It was definitely hard to watch.
It's bad.
To the point of where I turned off Red Zone for a little bit because they kept going back to it.
Yeah, I don't know
And-
why.
I don't think you can play call for that. I think that's just they heart is gone.
There's definitely
Personally.
defense.
There's something wrong with the Broncos front office, really. I don't know if it's John Elway. I don't know if it's their general manager or
I'll tell
anyone
you.
in the front office.
I'll tell you who it is, Sean Payton. Okay, look,
Ooh.
there's a lot of. He was the most.
Do tell, do tell.
Listen, he was the most overhyped coach coming back. He came back from Fox News, or not Fox News, ESPN, broadcasting all the time, just talking crazy about all these other teams. At some point, we gotta stop blaming Russell Wilson for everything. because
Right.
It's not Russell Wilson.
It's not Russell Wilson. It's Sean Payton, and I say that because, first of all, there are some good play calls he had, But then there were just play calls like, okay, you're setting Russ up for failure, and then you can't stop. And obviously the Dolphins are good, but they can't stop a leaf from falling to the ground. I don't know what the defense. Their defense is supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
You know, they got Randy Gregory, I think, on their team. They picked up.
Patrick Surt.
He's okay. Devontae embarrasses him all the time, but I know I'm just talking a little crazy right now, but I think Sean Payton is at fault right now. They're 0-3. They should be like 1-2 maybe.
Should at least have a
They
win.
should have. I think they should have beat the Raiders.
It can't be Russell Wilson because he's had 2 games back to back throwing over 300 yards.
Yeah, I mean
So
last
it's
year, last year he
he's
had a bad
improved
season, so
from
everyone
last year.
It's
Yeah.
the Broncos
Yeah.
defense.
Right, he got 6 TDs.
With a
passed.
team with all these assets like Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton,
But they got a nice
Javonte
team.
Williams,
A really nice
Marvin
offense.
Mims is really turning into a
They're-
stud wide
Quinn Miners,
receiver.
as you said
Right.
before.
Great offensive
Like,
line, pretty
it's
good names
fine.
on defense.
Their offense is fine, but Sean Payton is literally trying. I'm telling you, the play calling is sometimes Russ is just throwing to like obviously the hot receiver that you're supposed to throw to, and I just think they're trying to set him up for failure at this
I
point.
mean, you did have a point because Denver should have beaten Washington.
They should have beat the
Right.
Raiders. They should have 100% beat the Raiders. They were up in that game.
They should have, in all, from a realistic sense, you look at their first 5 games with the Raiders, Commanders, Dolphins, Bears, Jets. Let's assume the Jets don't have Rodgers. Let's just keep that injury in there. This team should be 4-1 through 5 games.
100%.
They
And
should be
I'm a Chargers
4-1.
fan saying that.
Facts.
It's almost impressive to see this team fall apart from the
It's
seams.
Sean Payton.
This
it has
fast.
to be.
He was so good on the Saints, though. Like,
That's I guess he had Drew Brees and
that's the same as Russ.
He's got Russ.
It's
He's got Russ.
Listen,
But Russ has the capability of running too.
Right, and Drew Brees, he had pretty much his whole career almost.
Right.
And you know
You gotta do too much with Drew.
Russ and him don't have a good relationship, and that's another thing on Sean Payton.
They don't. He made fun of Russ.
Yeah,
like,
he
bad.
called out Russ.
Yeah.
They posted it everywhere.
It's almost like Urban Meyer stuff with the Jags,
Exactly.
like
Oh, man, that
actually
was bad.
kicking the kicker and telling him
man.
to do his expletive job, and he leaves the team that day.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
no, you can't have that.
It's Sean Payton. It has to be. There's no other answer. I feel like.
I think it's Sean Payton to an extent, just because of who he has, had to choose as his defensive coordinator, as a few people on the coaching staff. Actually, that's what I'm going with. I think it's it's his fault for who he picked on his team
To run this team.
to help him run it.
All right, let's move on to the Panthers real quick while we still have time. Keys, we'll start with you. The Carolina Panthers right now, they're not off to the hottest start of the year either. They're also 0-3. They have a negative 27-point differential. Now, Bryce Young didn't practice. His status is out for this week, for week 3. Week 4, we'll see what happens with the Vikings coming up. But whose fault is it? Is it Bryce Young or is it new head coach Frank Reich?
Got to be the head coach because Bryce is young. He need time. He need time. Although Andy Dalton looks good.
He does look really good.
Yeah,
He's looked very good to
hopefully
start.
you don't bench him for good. But yeah, just let him progress, and they should be fine. I like Miles Sanders over there. So
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Adam Thielen's having a really good season so far. I think.
picked him up on waiver wires.
Yeah, I think the coach.
Yeah, what was up with Adam Thielen dropping 31 in fantasy yesterday?
Yeah,
Or Keenan Allen. 40
That
guys.
too.
Sleeping.
Keenan's top 5.
That's
Crazy.
Yeah.
What fantasy is this year?
And they're two very veteran wide receivers. Adam Thielen being 33 and Keenan Allen. How old is Keenan Allen here?
30
gonna be up there.
32.
31.
31.
31, going to be 32 right after the end of this season. I mean, two very veteran guys just really popping off. But let's stay focused here on the Panthers. Another veteran guy, like you mentioned, Keys, Andy Dalton, which is weird because, like we just mentioned earlier, the Andy Dalton one-year experiments really haven't panned out. You take a look at Dallas, it didn't really work. He had to play 9 games there when Dak was down. Go to Chicago, he goes 3-3 in 6 starts. I mean, Chicago, his
That's actually
numbers
impressive.
His numbers weren't that bad, but they mostly ran the ball when he was there. They had 189 yards per game in his tenure in Chicago, which is a career low for him. Goes to New Orleans last year. I mean, New Orleans on offense just not very impressive between him and Jameis. And then this year with Carolina taking a quick chance on him. I thought Andy Dalton would have been an XFL quarterback the very next day after he got released from the Saints. But he's come in here, and he's had himself quite a start to the year. Again, only 180 yards per game right now. But that's because he's only come in mid-game, things like that. He does have one start, but they went run-heavy yesterday with Miles Sanders. I think that it's Bryce Young.
I agree.
I think it's Bryce Young. Bryce Young has not been off to a great start since joining the NFL. And you almost had to have a Drew Brees comparison where he's not the tallest guy.
Yeah.
It stinks to make that comparison, but
5'10", 5'11".
yeah, I'm not sure entirely how it's going to go, but I think for Bryce Young, you really can't.
You can't compare him to C.J. Stroud.
No.
If C.J. Stroud had a good offensive line, he'd be unstoppable. In my
It's
opinion.
too early for me to tell for the Panthers right now.
Yeah,
Bryce Young, it's way too early.
Young
It is early,
quarterbacks
it
are
is
always
early,
tough.
but he's not looking very good.
I
The
will
jury's
say this.
out.
Yeah, he not.
I just want to say that I'm going to go with head coach just because. Just saw a thing here. 28 penalties it's the most in the league. 183 yards is what I feel like that has to come down to a coaching thing too. If you can't even have like the discipline to, actually, not have any flags, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like it starts with the coach.
Well, you look at their weapons too, and we just had this conversation about the Bears with Ryan Poles. I mean, Scott Fitterer really hasn't put together a roster either, and it's almost the other side of the same coin, where they tried to find the final piece first before they found the other pieces. I mean, yeah, Adam Thielen had one great game. He's been getting a lot of targets, so 25 targets this year to start. I mean, the veteran presence is definitely there. He's kind of having a hot start to the year, but you look at how last year went, and he might be a little washed. A little bit of a career resurgence here. Laviska Shenault has been a giant draft bust. Unfortunately, I was so excited. The little bit of Jaguars fan that I have in me, I was very excited for Laviska Shenault. I thought he was going to be a great, possibly wide receiver one option in Jacksonville. It's a good thing they got him off the books because that dude is not very good at football. Jonathan Mingo, I think he was like a second-round pick this past year. Might have been a late first, early second. Hayden Hurst has looked all right at tight end, but, I mean, the receiving room's not that deep. The running backs and Miles Sanders is a ground and pound guy in an offensive system that Frank Reich likes to bounce the ball outside. Really doesn't like to utilize the running backs all too much. They've had to, though, a lot. Chuba Hubbard does look all right, but the personnel just isn't there for Bryce Young, if anyone wants to touch on that.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of pieces around him. He has a little bit of veteran pieces around him, but that's not enough when you're a young quarterback having a lot of pressure on you. He's came out of college. Everyone thinks he's going to be like this great quarterback right away. Him and C.J. Stroud kind of going at it, I feel like. But at the moment, C.J. Stroud he definitely has the edge on him, and Bryce Young just got a lot of work to do to catch up.
Any final thoughts?
Which nothing is wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
At all. Nothing wrong with that.
Joe Burrow, Josh Allen,
And-
they all weren't the greatest when they first came out either, so it's going to take about a year or two.
Jordan Love was shaky through his first couple.
He did
Josh
not.
Allen,
He
yeah.
did not look good in preseason.
No,
The first
he didn't.
year
And
or
then
two.
there's that Eagles game last year where he nearly led the comeback against who could have been the Super Bowl
No,
champions.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think there's one start I remember. Jordan Love, I think Rodgers was out or hurt, and then Jordan Love started in Kansas City. He looked awful in that game.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I think Rodgers
Which-
was injured for a week with like ribs or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Just the Chiefs, so you kind of expect it.
And we always want them to play each other, but it just don't never seem to work out.
No,
Yeah,
never.
they
Yeah.
have to play each other this year. They
Yeah,
got injured.
there we go.
Death, taxes, and losing to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
We'll go to our last topic really quick while we still have a few minutes here. We're going to have to skip over the Jaguars. I was kind of excited to pop off on Trent Baalke, the GM there. But we're going to talk about college football relegation really quick while we have a few minutes here. Just get our little thoughts on it. Just kind of stir the pot on this because there's been a lot of changes in college football over the last decade. And not only just introducing the playoff, but also expanding the playoff, getting a lot of these primetime bowl games to become playoff games now. I saw a video on TikTok about how college football should and should, I should say, convert to a relegation system. So think European soccer like Bundesliga, La Liga, the Italian leagues, Liga 1, Liga 2. But this could happen between the FCS, the Group of Five, and the Power 5 conferences. Just let's get our thoughts here while we have a few minutes. Is this a doable theory? Could this work? Because we're working towards mega conferences now.
Yeah.
We're basically working towards La Liga 1, La Liga 2, La Liga 3. I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Honestly, I could put in there. I just don't like how all these teams are just jumping ships to different conferences. USC and UCLA should not be in the Big Ten.
100%
No,
should.
definitely not.
UCLA
You're
will win
gonna
that
have
every year.
Maryland play USC
Yeah,
on a
no.
Saturday. Well, do you think about when they playing basketball, baseball,
Yeah,
track? When they play during the week? Come on, like
That's not fair.
that ain't fair. It's just football. It's really a football
Right.
conference.
They may be a Division 1, but that's
Like their basketball team, like UCLA's basketball team, would
Can't
destroy
stand it.
Wisconsin.
Correct.
Stand it.
Destroy them.
Correct.
It wouldn't even be close. Any game, it wouldn't be fair.
Wisconsin playing UCLA.
The only
Pac-12
team-
basketball
yeah.
was good.
The only
I mean,
team
most
that
of these
could
moves are
compete.
simply because the football teams aren't that good,
The
and the
only-
few top dogs want to move.
The only team that would be able to compete in basketball, in my opinion, maybe Iowa State, maybe I don't know.
I'm a
With
follower of Iowa State. Yeah.
With UCLA, I don't
Well,
know.
Iowa's Big 10. Iowa State
Iowa,
is
my
Big
bad.
12.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Iowa.
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts, Keys? What do you think about this? Like a relegation system. So like you have your top 25 would be the Power 5 conferences, and then the bottom 3 teams and the top 3 teams in the Group of 5. They flip places at the end of the year based on who struggled the most, and then FCS would get thrown in there too. I mean, what do we think about this? Is this a doable theory?
I'm not really knowledgeable on all of that. But
Yeah.
what are y'all implying? Like it's going to give more teams opportunity to play better teams, or
Well, so it would give a lot of it would be huge for TV first off.
Right.
Like
A lot of
all
money.
these primetime
Right.
games where you'd see Oklahoma play Texas like 2 times a year.
Okay.
So all the big teams would really play each other, and the bottom few teams in the top 25, if you don't perform well, too bad, dude. Better luck next year. You're flipping. Let's say it's Wisconsin, Washington State, and let's just pull a name out of a hat, Colorado. They all go like 3-10 this season in a relegation system, and they flip places with Northern Illinois, Toledo, and San Diego State because they all went undefeated in that lower tier. And then the same thing goes where you have like Charlotte, South Dakota State, North Dakota State would bump up to the Group of 5 out of the FCS, and then you have like 3 really crappy Group of 5 teams drop down. It would open up for a lot more like turnover in college football, and then a lot of these like up and coming teams get more and more recruits. It would really make the recruiting system flourish. I mean, just thoughts on that. What do you think?
well,
It's a very interesting
Be
topic.
tricky.
Yeah.
yeah. I disagree with y'all, to be honest. I don't have much to say about that.
I would just have to say, I think they need to get rid of the bowl games. I just think they're useless. Like, it's not,
Oh, the history though,
The
Adam.
history, I love.
There's-
bowl
The
games I like.
tradition,
I just-
the Rose Bowl
I
parade.
get it.
I love the bowl games.
Yeah, I
Rose,
love the
but
bowl
like,
games.
Bowl
there's
games are
so
fun to
many
watch.
of these bowl games that we haven't even heard about. And like,
Right.
The
That is
Duke's
true.
Mayo Bowl. Come
Yeah.
on.
There's
Badgers
just-
were the champs a few years ago.
there's just way too many where it doesn't have like, it doesn't hold anything
It doesn't-
anymore.
yeah, it-
There's just a
it's kind
bowl
of
game.
embarrassing.
You get a bowl game. They hit
You get
them
the
out like
Pinstripe Bowl
Oprah
playing Yankee
cars.
Stadium, dude. Who gets to say they played in Yankee Stadium,
The
especially
Yankees.
football?
Baseball players.
Yeah, right.
Think
I
about
don't know.
it.
That's
I
why
mean,
the expansion
okay,
of
The
games.
Bahamas
that.
Bowl. Go to the Bahamas for a
Alright.
week.
See, that's embarrassing. When you say it out loud, it's like, what are you doing?
It's like, instead, I feel like if they can switch it and have a few of the brackets almost and go, off of the ranking, here's your top 25 teams. Doesn't matter what conference you're in, whatever, if you're in the SEC, whatever.
that.
You go in the top 25, these other ones go, you guys play, and have your, I don't know, 1, 2, or 3 champions, however many of the brackets you have to make to fit the teams in, but it's got to be, I don't know.
That's why the college football playoff is being expanded so people can watch more, I guess.
Yeah.
That's why it's
It's got to be
Like,
different.
I like this expansion because like it gives like teams like it gives like more teams instead of like Georgia, Michigan,
Alabama, Michigan, yeah.
Ohio
right.
State, like,
Love that.
like to compete for like the championship.
Which
Love
is
it.
cool. That's a cool thing to have.
It's a big thing. Love it.
Let's give 1 minute here. Sorry to cut you guys short, but we are just out of time. 1 minute here. We'll go around the room. Final thoughts on the day. Keys, we'll start with you and work our way back.
Final thoughts. Go Pack Go.
All right.
Justin
That's a
Fields
start.
is bad this year.
Like that too.
Good, bad? Or,
Very bad.
The bad.
Oh,
Just bad.
Not the, oh, dude, that's sick. It's like, oh, dude, he
this is bad.
Jay Cutler
He
bad.
sucks, in other words.
Jay Cutler bad.
Mine is that Brock Purdy. He's the man. He's the man. I watched him at
I
Iowa
like it.
State
Nice.
for
I like
4
it. I
years.
like it.
That's where my brother and sister went, and my brother had him in a class. I've been following him the whole time. I wish the Packers would have got him. I swear I said that 4 years ago.
He is Mr. Relevant now.
He is. I love him.
Ryan, final thoughts on the day. Could be anything. Doesn't even have to be sports related. Just what are your final thoughts?
Justin Fields is still the guy for the Bears.
Oh,
I agree. Justin Fields is all right. He's gonna be all right.
even
but
though they're in the running for Caleb Williams,
Get him out of there.
even though Justin Fields will be all
He's
right.
Get hurt.
Caleb Williams won't want to go there anyways.
You're right.
Send him to
He's
the-
gonna stay in college. Yeah.
No.
I'm worried about his career at this point.
Send him to the Cardinals.
Justin Fields will be all right. I'm ready for Bulls season.
My final thoughts on the day are I'm also ready for basketball season.
Yeah.
It's been a little too long now. I need
NBA.
all these Giannis rumors to stop again. We can't have this
Yeah,
go
every
on
year.
anymore.
Raiders.
Like
That's
Giannis
hard
going
for
to the
Bulls.
Warriors.
Yeah, all that stuff,
like
dude. I
that.
can't
I
have it
love
anymore.
that.
Oh gosh.
See red.
Unstoppable.
That's cheating.
Well, we're just out of time here. We went about 25 seconds over. I know our station manager, Drew, is not going to be thrilled, but that's okay. He'd have done the same thing when he was hosting Honk Talk, and I know he's listening to me out there. But thanks for tuning in, everybody, to 91.7 The Edge, WSCW Whitewater, for our first installment of Hawk Talk on the season. Once again, from Jalen, Ryan, Adam, Keys, and Nazir, my name is Sam. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll catch you guys tomorrow with more Hawk Talk and a whole new cast of characters. We'll see you then.